Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
And on that note, hi everyone! Welcome to this week's episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Partu. Joining me today is Milan Jeftik 1992, Ozzy Griffin, and Steve Baxi. And today, Milan is going to tell us what we will be talking about.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we shall be talking about the arch enemy. Partly this kind of discussion went about when I was thinking, like, all these superhero movie franchises have kind of got their own version of Darkseid, besides DC, I mean, Marvel has Thanos, the X-Men franchise is fucking just whoring out Apocalypse. They sent us a picture of how he's going to look like in the movie already, and, you know, obviously Darkseid is going to have to appear in the, you know, DC movies at some point, so, yeah. We have these very specific kind of great big bads, almost satanic villain figures in all these separate universes that are gonna be, that are getting introduced, and that's kind of fascinating. And just the idea of the big bad. Why do we need a big bad satanic villain that has a rock face?
Yeah, that's something I was actually thinking about with Guardians and, I guess, Avengers, introducing Thanos before DC's getting, like, any traction going. It's going to be really annoying if DC ever does do Darkseid to hear everyone go, oh, they're just ripping off of Marvel. No! It's the other way! It's the other way! I'm sad.
Yeah, but you... Yeah.
Nobody can get away from this stuff. No, I was just going to say, the worst bit of this is all the major comic book companies do this, and as much as I love a good arch villain, I think it can be overdone, and I look forward to mocking that happening.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't know, I like the idea of, like, you know, the ultimate big bad guy, and I guess it really does come down to Jack Kirby kind of introducing that. And Stan Lee, because, I mean, we got Galactus, too. I don't know why why Marvel decided that they needed to create Thanos when they already had Galactus.
Well, Galactus...
I think that's important to mention the distinction between arch nemesis or villain versus big bad, because Galactus isn't intended to be one of those big bads like we're talking about. Galactus is very specifically like a rival character to Fantastic Four, and that's a different conceit than having a devil, satanic, universe kind of foe that Darkseid or Thanos are.
Yeah, but you think Galactus would just... You think you could just expand Galactus the way that, like... I mean, it's smaller scale, but, like, Deathstroke is originally a Green Arrow villain, but now he's more of just a DC Universe villain, correct?
Well,
he's a Teen Titans villain.
Teen Titans.
Still...
Well, the thing with Galactus is that he's not really a villain. He was never intended to be a villain. Well, a villain, yes, but more of a cosmic entity. He was meant to be seen as something beyond just a villain. He's kind of Cthulhu in a way. He's really impartial to us, so his actions aren't really villainous. He's just kind of hungry, and just the fact that we're on this planet is just gonna, ant people, whatever. I'm just gonna eat your world. No, you don't want to? Well, sorry. Boom, I'm big. Squash.
I get that. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like you could expand exactly what he does, because, like I was saying with Slade, he's originally a Teen Titans character, but they kind of just took that character out, and now he's a villain for whatever book you need him to be in, or whatever movie or TV show, and he can be anyone's arch nemesis for a season or whatever.
Yeah.
I figured you could do the same thing with Galactus if you really wanted to.
I suppose.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't know. A force of nature is different. Okay, this is the first... Back before this podcast started, ladies and gentlemen, the 10, 15 people we've got in the audience, before this podcast started, we were actually having a bit of a back and forth on, the different types of arch villains and the different styles of writing. And one of the things I brought up, one of the things that was implied was that a force of nature like Galactus isn't so much a villain because he really doesn't give a damn about you. He's not plotting to destroy you. He's not pursuing a personal agenda. He's just hungry. He's about as evil as a cosmic-sized guy, fat guy at a buffet. He will keep going through all the really tasty stuff, leaving only the salad of the universe behind. That's just how I see it. And for him, the universe is big enough that he can just skank off to another part of it, while the rest of it recoalesces into stars and planets and people that he will then later come back and consume.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, a little less known fact about Galactus, about his origin, is that he's kind of when he first got his power, when he first came into our universe, he said that after when our universe ends, he's gonna do something so amazing, so creative, so wonderful, that's gonna make up for all the shit that he's done, all the worlds, all the civilizations, all the species he's wiped out. He says that I'm gonna do something really, really fucking cool to make up for all of that eventually.
So, unless he saves the universe from its own inevitable heat death, yeah, I'm calling BS on that one.
I suppose so, because Galactus just seems... It's cool. Galactus just seems like one of those guys yeah, I'll totally give you $20 later, man. Definitely. He's like the moocher of the universe. He's like, I'll totally pay you back, man. Just let me eat the Earth, man. Come on. I'll totally pay you back, bro. Come on.
Okay.
I guess now that we're thinking about it, Galactus being a force of nature, well, if we're going from that context, and I guess Darkseid doesn't really count either, because Darkseid's a force of nature. Darkseid's a personification of the idea of death, and his only existence, according to Jack Kirby's New Gods and Grant Morrison and all of that stuff, Darkseid is not so much of a villain as he is everything that people hate about the universe, and everything evil in the universe personified into one godly figure. It's not a nature, nurture, motivation thing or anything like that. He's just designed from the very get-go to be evil and kill things. That's just his natural purpose.
Well, the thing is...
Grant calls him the god of evil, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. I mean, because essentially, more than just the god of evil, he is evil incarnate. He's just in the same way that Galactus is a force of nature.
No, I mean like god of evil in the, pantheistic sense, god of lightning, god of war, god of evil things.
Well, yeah, people call him that, but he's not... I guess if you're talking about it in that sense, he's not god of evil in that way. He's god of evil in the sense that he is evil. If with no dark side in the universe, there is no evil in the universe kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that idea of, to get kind of away from the topic, but still tangentially connected. I like that idea of these, gods, the ancient Greek gods and the Norse gods and everything working, because it's the idea of a being created by the presence of a thought, and Green Lantern has a lot of that. And here's where I'm getting back to it: Parallax, Ion, the Butcher, the Predator, not the one with the dreads that hunts people, but kind of the one.
Which is one I was thinking of, yeah.
The Predator, and then there are 2 or 3 others. The entities of the different power sets, but particularly Parallax, is the entity of fear. And so you have Parallax, who for a while was a villain, and he gets to come back every so often and, possess people and make him go all creepy-ass bug face, and that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, but there we're going...
So cool.
It is pretty fucking cool. Funny enough, comics can make a giant yellow bug thing actually scary. But That's the thing. With those kind of big bads, those are just really anthropomorphic representations of a certain idea in the universe. But, in a way, that can be good. In that way, you're kind of leading into the classic ideas of mythology and basic human storytelling. This is not just a bad guy in a black cape. He is the bad guy in the black cape. He's where all the...
Well...
Yeah.
Sorry, Go ahead and finish. I want to cut in now.
But anyway, and that's the thing. You always play with that kind of mythic idea because always you have the kind of the middle tier bad guy like Magneto or whatever. And after that point, after you defeat him for a little while, then where do you go? You got to have a bigger fish over and over again. You got to keep making the stories more exciting, and you just got to get more and more cosmic to make the stakes mean something again. I mean,
okay.
Captain America can punch, a neo-Nazi Crossbones in the face a couple of times, but he's just a whack job with a gun. You got to have him punch the Red Skull, Nazi man from the past with red face on his face, Red Skull. And just after that point, where do you go after Red Skull? Doctor Doom, then Thanos, and then where? Mm-hmm. Just have Captain America he punched Hitler. So after that point, you just have to punch Satan.
After punching Hitler, it is all downhill.
Okay, I disagree with that, but I'll let Ian go first, because he had the floor.
Yeah. Back to, real quick, to your point about, the mythological characters. I should have reread Final Crisis, but I just didn't get around to it. Dan Turpin, when he's being turned into Darkseid in that, has this fantastic bit of, his final narration, where he's thinking to himself about how hard he's trying to resist becoming Darkseid, and then he goes, but fighting Darkseid is like fighting the ocean. And I really do think that line in and of itself connects with the idea of that classic mythological thing, You couldn't do anything to appease Poseidon. He would probably kill you if you had any kind of business with the ocean, which a lot of Greeks did. Poseidon was probably going to kill you, was the viewpoint that they had. And so there's no point in trying to fight him or, please him, because either way, he's probably going to kill you. And I think Darkseid's a really good interpretation of that in the same way. And I think Thanos is a different character, but done in such a similar way. He's a different character in his motivations, but he's done in such a similar way to the means that he has, and let's be honest, the look that the parallels to Darkseid are just too obvious to count.
Definitely. But the thing is, with Darkseid, he's more outwardly centric. But with Thanos, it's more inwardly. Because with Darkseid, it's big, large brush strokes, big ultimate evil in the universe. While Thanos, as evil as he is and fucked up as he is, he's not really, this great cosmic entity. Well, he is, but his motivations are really not just I am the personification of evil in the universe like Darkseid. He just wants to make a girl that he likes like him. I like you, Death. Let me kill
There's actually a really good there's a really good Deadpool arc that we did a while back on the show, Bobby and I, in which someone has hired, all these people to, not kill Deadpool, but make sure that he is never able to die. And so, at the end, you find out who hired everyone, because, alright, so Deadpool's origin involves him falling in love, almost dying, and Death falling in love with him, and now he's spending all of his life trying to die in a glorious way so that he'll be able to go back to Death and everything.
Hang on, you said Deadpool. I think you mean Thanos, right?
No, I'm talking about Deadpool.
Okay.
I'm getting... So someone's, hired all these people to try to make sure that Deadpool can never die. It's like that, Seven Deadly Aces or whatever, where there are all these fucking hitmen trying to actually keep Deadpool alive in this comic arc. And then at the end, you find out who hired everyone, and it's Thanos because he doesn't want someone else taking his girl.
Nice.
You know who Thanos is? He's just an emo, not even ex-boyfriend, just a lovesick guy who's always texting a girl, like, I love you, I'll kill the universe for you. And Death is like, Death is really ambivalent to the guy. She's like, fuck, it's Thanos again. Like, he's texting me while I'm with Deadpool. Like, I love you, Death, I'll kill everyone for you. Oh, fuck, just stop texting me, Thanos, God. Stop it. And Death, and like...
You know what I want to see?
Yeah?
Like, it'll never happen, but I'd love to see a Marvel DC crossover again, where Thanos meets DC's version of Death, because she is such an interesting character. I would like to see her just, like, tell Thanos, honey, it's not gonna work.
Not even that. No. Death, like, DC
Death is such a sweethart in the DC universe.
She is, but she's like 16. He's like, oh, there's another Death in another universe? Oh, shit, she looks 16. No, bye-bye. Sorry.
No, she's not like 16. She's just as old as Morpheus.
Well,
so.
she looks 16, and that's well enough. Death should just, like, look as a little girl. And so everyone's like, she just show up. To the way Death in the Marvel Universe should get rid of Thanos' attraction, she just should appear as a little girl to everyone. And so when people say, oh, Thanos has a crush on Death, they're like, ew, but she's a little girl. And that way he's just stop out of shame. He's like, nah, I totally don't like her. She's a girl. Sure, she's an internal entity of the universe, but still, you know, it looks bad for me.
I don't know, I really don't like... That's not a bad idea, because I kind of hate the design of Death in the DC universe. It's a really hot chick with a skull head.
And, it's kind of cliche.
It's like the ultimate butterface, I guess, but...
Nice.
Okay, Steve, we kind of got off on something when you wanted to talk, so why don't you go ahead?
Okay, yeah, I just want to go back to the point Milan made about, say you have a character like Captain America who fights Crossbones, then you need to escalate to get to Red Skull, and then you escalate, and eventually there's nowhere to go, because that's the nature of big bads. I wanted to jump in and say I disagree with that completely, because big bads, we're talking about them in terms of these characters are designed to be universal threats. But at the same time, big bads can emerge just from good writing. So the big bad of Season 2 of Arrow is Deathstroke. And Deathstroke's not designed to be a big bad. He's designed to just be a normal supervillain character, yet you can write him in such a way that he is a big bad. So you can't necessarily have a scene where Captain America punches out Crossbones, and then he has to go to Red Skull. You can make Crossbones the big bad of a story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's a beautiful thing about writing. You know, if you do it well enough and you know your stuff, you can turn any seemingly insignificant character into the ultimate world-ending threat. A good example was actually an aspect not many people go into. The Phoenix Force from Marvel Comics' X-Men. Technically speaking, Jean Grey was, I would say, not that interesting of a character. She was all right. She was a pretty so-so member of the team, you know, telepath, psychic, what have you. Basically, the Professor 2.0. And what you...
But with tits.
Sorry, everyone go watch the X-Men Jean Grey episode, or sketch, because it's really funny. And that's EX-Men.
Okay, fair enough. So, basically, Jean Grey started off as a fairly normal character. Hell, she started off as one of the heroes. By the time the Phoenix Force manifests, everyone's trying their best to either kill her or wipe her mind so she doesn't become a threat anymore. In fact, I think, as memory serves, she did die in the end. Not that it takes, it's freaking comic books. Anyway, that's where I came back to a realization that, you know, I do like a good threat, but I'd like it to be more amorphous. I don't actually... This is why you're probably watching this or listening to this podcast right now, and you've probably noticed the artwork has us all depicted as supervillains. Now, the reason I chose Ra's al Ghul is he was a threat, he was an arch-villain, to say the least, but it wasn't all about him. He moved things around, he manipulated other villain groups, he always had his own agenda going. I like the arch-villain that kind of just he slinks back off in the shadows, like a lot of them do, but isn't one particular guy. He's an idea, he's a concept, like you were saying about Darkseid and the Greek gods.
Well, I think that's one of the great things that Batman Begins did, is there's that great little moment where Bruce sees, at the party where the man is introduced to him as Ra's al Ghul, and is like, Ra's al Ghul is dead. I watched him die. And then Liam Neeson goes, but is Ra's al Ghul immortal? Are his methods supernatural? I really love that scene. Also, though, building on your points about like the big bad that isn't just a threat in and of themselves, but just everything that they've set up and everything that they're a part of is the threat. Moriarty in Sherlock season 1 in particular.
Oh yeah.
Like everything
good
in
call.
season 1.
Classic villain.
Yeah. In Sherlock season 1, everything leads up to Moriarty as the villain in the last episode. But he's introduced in the last episode, and like you see him, but you don't know it's him, and that just makes him so much more intimidating that someone was able to fool Sherlock. Especially the way they set up Sherlock in that universe. And just, so like, you have, watching Sherlock season 1, and I guess I've spoiled it for people that haven't seen it, but fuck you, you've had 3 years. So like, season 1, first episode seems like it's completely self-contained until the very, very last minute when someone says, I work for Moriarty. And it's like, whoa! And then episode 2 seems like it's completely self-contained to the last minute when, like, someone dies and we get the sense that it's from Moriarty. And then episode 3 comes, the season finale, and 3 episodes, 90 minutes each, it works. And it's just this fucking nightmare, and you find out that it's Moriarty pulling the strings. It's so amazing! And I think that's the one great thing that a big bad can really do, is if they're used correctly, everything leads up to them. It's not just they show up, like, and I'm going to go back to Darkseid with this, because we have 2 examples where where Darkseid was used to amazing effect, and where Darkseid was used to very poor effect, even though both of them tried to properly set him up. Jeff Johns' first story arc on Justice League, Final Crisis.
Hang on, cut.
First story arc on Justice League, they start setting Darkseid up, but he just walks through and starts punching people. Terrible, terrible use of Darkseid. Final Crisis,
dude.
It's like 6-7 issues of Darkseid just like in the or just people talking about Darkseid, and it's like, oh, he's going to come back, he's going to be resurrected, blah blah blah, and then he finally shows up, and he's still just sitting there not doing anything yet until Batman shows up. And then it's like, and then here's the thing about Final Crisis. The universe ends. It's over for a couple pages. It's just Superman and Darkseid for a handful of pages. I think that's very important.
Yeah.
He did some serious shit.
Yeah, like, literally a supervillain managed to destroy the universe for a brief time. That's some fucked up shit, son. You know, that's some that's your grade A gold supervillain card right there. You know, what you do? I blew up a fucking building. I made the entire fucking universe disappear for a few minutes. Fuck you, I'm Darkseid. I just imagine Darkseid with gold chains. Like, yeah, I'm fucking Darkseid. Like, with the characters like that, with those godlike level characters, you can kind of overhype them if you're not a good writer, like but the thing is, when you play around with the concept of them, that's what Grant Morrison does very well. He plays around with the concept of a thing in a fictional sense a lot, and I love that. That's kind of almost, what's the word I'm looking for? That kind of metaphysical sense of it. I just love that. That's why I like the New Gods so much, because it's modern day mythology.
And to go with Ian's comparison of Final Crisis and that terrible origin story arc of the New 52, in Final Crisis, Darkseid was ingrained into the DNA of that story. He's a concept, he's a villain, he's a main character, and he's a catalyst for so many events that unfold throughout that whole run. It's not just Darkseid, we're using Darkseid because he's the strongest villain in the DC universe. We're using him because he has a purpose, and he's doing things, and he has motivations, and not only is he terrifying and can kill Batman, he's there to accomplish certain things for other characters, and you're using him in ways that we haven't seen that character used before. In the origin story that Jeff Johns wrote, he's nothing but a big rock monster that punches things. He has no character whatsoever. And that's when you do a big bad wrong, which is you just have them be really, really strong and expect that to be enough.
I think that's when Lex Luthor is used to just, this is why I think a lot of people hate Lex Luthor, because he ends up just punching Superman. And I'm like, no, that's stupid. Quit doing that. Lex Luthor should never, ever throw a punch in his entire fucking life. He's Lex Luthor.
Yeah, exactly.
It completely misses the point of the modern version of the character.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck your goddamn robot suit.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor is not Tony Stark.
Exactly. The thing with Lex Luthor is that I love Lex Luthor because I've been reading a lot of him when he's not really just, running around in the suit. But, I fell more in love with Lex Luthor because he's just such a devious bastard. In the modern, Justice League stuff, he's just such a delightfully clever fuck. With the Joker, it's like, haha, I'm crazy, But with Lex Luthor, last night, I rewatched Superman Red Son, the motion comic. On my big TV, and I just love how fucking smarmy and smart that motherfucker is. It's like, oh, I got everything planned. He's such a fucking douche. He's such a smarmy fucking holier than thou motherfucker. I love the guy. It's so delightful.
He's a hyper intelligent megalomaniac as a character.
Yeah.
That's why. But that's believe it or not, the fact that he's a megalomaniac, someone who desires to be the most powerful person in any setting given, is actually one of the reasons why he doesn't, in my opinion, make much of an arch villain. He's a good manipulator, and he's got good plans. And if you write him well, he's always working towards an agenda. But he's just, how do I put this? He's amoral enough to do evil things, but he's not evil enough to be what I consider an arch villain. He's just not in it to screw people over enough. That's just how I put it.
No, I wouldn't say that. Lex Luthor is always willing to screw someone over if it helps his ends.
That's what I mean.
Lex Luthor should never be, trying to kill Superman just because. Or no, wait. Let me rephrase that. Lex Luthor should never be trying to kill Superman only because it will make him feel better. He needs to do it because he needs the world to see him as the better person. So Lex Luthor is a good person to explain why all these different Superman villains have so much money to have all this crazy shit, and why they all have so many henchmen. Because Lex Luthor is funding them as a third party because he hates Superman and he wants Superman to be taken down. But Lex Luthor should never throw a punch. He should never put on a fucking robot suit. No, even when Justice League did it, and I mean, Justice League, I'm talking about the cartoon, was some good shit.
Oh, yeah.
Even when they did it, I was like, guys, come on, no. Just no. You know why you shouldn't be doing this.
No, it's, how do I put it? Lex Luthor as a, well, okay, you compare, alright, let's compare this using a slightly tired reference from the early 1990s. Does anyone remember the cartoon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I have a feeling some of you do.
Yes.
Good. Okay, so basically...
It's familiar, I suppose, yeah.
So, like I was saying, in the early 90s, their version of Teenage Mutant Ninja... Well, early 90s, late 80s, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had the Shredder as a villain, and it had Bebop and Rocksteady as his enforcers. If you're gonna just walk around laying down violence on stuff, you're basically an enforcer. It's not that hard a concept to figure out. People don't want to do what you tell them. You punch them in the face until they do. There's no complexity there. Someone like the Shredder wants to, I don't know, whatever the du jour plot line of the cartoon was that week, rule New York, gain mystical ninja superpowers, whatever was good. And, if you wrote the episodes well, relative to a kid's cartoon, obvious caveat, you got a fun character who was trying to stay one step ahead of the hero's thinking. The good arch-villains are about 3 steps ahead of the villains who are staying 1 step ahead of the heroes. That's how you write a good villain. You got to use the Sun Tzu strategy rather than the chess idea of just sweep the board and you win.
I don't know if I agree with that. Because I think what you're saying is you're writing a villain that's competent. And that's very different than what an arch-villain is. An arch-villain, at least in my mind and how I define it, would be a character that is a perfect foil for the protagonist of your story. Like, the Joker doesn't have to be several moves ahead of Batman to be a good arch-nemesis. He's a good arch-nemesis because whatever he does and whatever he says is always something that's so counter to Batman, and Batman has to face his own inner conflicts in order to deal with them. So, you can write villains that are 4 or 5 steps ahead of the regular rogues gallery, but, that just makes them a threat. That doesn't make an arch-nemesis. What's his name? Prometheus, right? Prometheus is exactly what you're talking about to Batman, but he's not an arch-nemesis.
Hang on. From which? You gotta remember, I usually go back to ancient Greek mythology when you say Prometheus.
I just mean the Prometheus from the comics. Like the Prometheus that showed up in the comics is essentially a Batman ripoff character who's like 8 moves ahead of the Justice League and beats all of them. But that didn't make him an arch-nemesis to anybody. Wait,
was he the guy that cut off one of the Justice League members' arms?
Yeah, the guy who cut off Speedy's arm.
Yep. No, I know who you're talking about. Lynn Carr did a review of it.
Is that Morrison's? Is that Morrison's Prometheus?
Yeah.
It's
Morrison didn't write fucking forgot that scene. I totally fucking forgot that. Damn. I gotta go reread that. I have all the trades, too, for Morrison's Justice League.
Well, he didn't cut off Speedy's arm in Morrison's Justice League. That was like they were doing the cold cry for justice crap. But Morrison's the guy who kind of brought him in there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I know Prometheus was introduced in Morrison's run, and I guess I just missed that part. You know what the worst part of Morrison's run is, in, like, looking back on it?
Careful, Milan is a big fan.
And it's not Morrison's fault, it's just that he had to use fucking Blue Energy Superman.
Blue Energy Superman? Okay,
You've never seen 90s Superman with his Blue Energy costume and he was like made out of energy? It looked cool, but it didn't fucking Superman. It looks awesome, but it's not Superman. Just make a new character. Don't fucking pile that shit on Superman.
Blue Energy.
I guess it's better that it's slightly better that it wasn't just a ripoff of Batman, and like you were talking about, just everyone gets Batman's costume with spray paints of their own color.
Sorry.
But yeah, you just saw Blue Energy Superman, didn't you?
Yep.
There's your fucking arch nemesis. You just have like Superman, like classic costume Superman, look at Blue Energy Superman. It's like, dude, no, don't do this. There's your Superman Red, Superman Blue story right there. Okay, where was I going with this? Alright, yeah. So, Blue Energy Superman is the one thing that really kind of, like, undercuts a lot of Morrison's Justice League run, because otherwise it was really good, but fucking Blue Energy Superman's just there throughout, like, at least 2/3 of it. Like, really? People go to me like, well, Peter David's one-handed Aquaman was there. That Aquaman was cool! Fuck you! Alright.
I thought it was a pretty good idea, especially when they use it in the Justice League animated series. That, especially the way they introduced it, that fucking rocked.
Right? Anyway, let's get back to this.
Aquaman is a fucking badass.
Sure, why not? If he's got a good writer, I guess.
I just like him because he's shirtless.
So let's get to the distinction, because Steve kind of brought this up. What exactly what's the difference between an arch enemy and a big bad? What's the difference between Lex Luthor and Darkseid, or
totally disagree
Thanos and and to go with Guardians here, what's the difference between Thanos and Ronan?
Ronan.
Yeah, the Inquisitor.
Ronan.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference between a big bad and an archenemy?
It's okay if I go first on this one?
Go for it.
Okay, cool. I don't think there is much of a difference. I think a big bad is all in the way you write a character, and it can be an arch nemesis or it can be a standard villain. It doesn't matter. So an arch nemesis is just by definition a character that is a perfect villainous foil to the main protagonist. To make him a big bad, all you have to do is make them one of the more all-encompassing threats of a character's specific story arc. So, like the Joker can be Batman's arch nemesis, but you can also make him the big bad by having him plan out like millions of machinations like he does in Paul Dini's detective story, where he's the big grandmaster behind a plot. Deathstroke's an arch nemesis to the Teen Titans, but you can write him as a big bad for Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I that's the difference between you and me, and I'm glad you clarified that. See, I look at it from a television perspective, which is where, you know, there's usually a showdown at the end of the season or something similar. But I always see an arch villain as somebody who isn't defeated in one scheme in one go. There's usually more than one scheme going on, but I never saw the Joker as an arch villain. He's good as a villain. He is great as a psychopath, but nah. I
mean, in Dark Knight, I think he is.
I mean, can you clarify like why the Joker wouldn't be an arch villain? Because I don't think I've ever heard anyone ever say that.
No, fair enough. Now look, I see him. He's intelligent. He's ruthless. That's fine. He is great as an opponent. He's a good nemesis to Batman. In that he's almost a mirror. Well, I almost said dark mirror image, but this is freaking Batman. He's like
He's a funhouse mirror image.
Good, yes, we'll use that. So yeah, he's a lot like Batman, except that I always see him as defeated in one episode. That's, like I said, my unique perspective on it. I don't see him as the guy who's working a story arc in throughout the whole season.
Have you played Arkham Asylum?
No. Everyone tells me I'm missing out on that one.
Yeah, that'd be a good example of Joker as the arch nemesis, the big bad of the game. And then he's like a minor bad guy. I don't know, is Joker ultimately the big bad of Arkham City?
Yes.
It's hard to say.
Yes. I suppose so, yes. He kind of is.
Because it kind of goes back and forth between Hugo Strange, the Joker, and then eventually Ra's al Ghul.
Well, I mean, like, Ra's al Ghul and Hugo Strange are all there for their own machinations, but at the end of the day, it's the Joker's plot that's the whole crux of the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Joker's, the whole dynamic really comes together with Joker and the Batman, because it usually always does. But the thing with what I think makes the big bad is foreshadowing. I believe Ian brought up Moriarty, and it's just like with Moriarty, I love the Sherlock Holmes books, and with Moriarty, you always have like that, you know, we have those stories where Holmes kind of talks about him. He builds this guy up. He's kind of says like, oh, he's the Napoleon of crime. He's the spider sitting in the complex web of criminal machinations. He's this and that. There's a lot of build up, and then like he can either go very well. If you do it right, if you kind of subvert the expectations, like you hear this fucking Moriarty character and it's just some fucking gross-looking mathematician guy walking in going, I thought your brain would be bigger. Nah. I blah, 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 blah. You know?
Yeah, it is foreshadowing. That is actually something I never saw with the Joker. I mean, the Joker he's either there or he's not. He's either building up to something or he's doing something else, you know. But yeah, foreshadowing is for me is what made a good end of series villain. You know, it's like with okay, this is going slightly outside the usual comic book purview. You take Joss Whedon's series Firefly. He was actually building up an arch villain as this organization with guys sending out people wearing blue gloves. That was foreshadowing. That was the makings of a really good either arch villain or a big organization to fight. And did you ever find out what happened? No, because Fox cancelled the friggin' series. But the important thing
Don't you question the business decisions of Fox. You shut your whore mouth.
Thanks.
Sorry.
Anyway. Yeah, I know. They might own part of that station you work at, yeah. So...
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Anyway, but that's what I mean. It was foreshadowed, and he also wanted to do more with the organization Blue Sun, which you see advertised here and there. But that's...
Can I jump in?
Yeah, light on me.
Alright, see, what you're talking about actually leads to a really interesting thing, and I want to make sure I get this out before it's irrelevant.
Please do.
So Milan was just talking about Moriarty, and you're just talking about Firefly. And I've been thinking about it, and I was reading, I just got done with a class on Greek mythology a couple weeks ago, so I read a bunch of the classics. There were no big bads in that. Everything was very self-contained.
Yeah.
And, there was the overarching Greek mythology, but there was no continuity between it all. So there are no big bad guys, like ultimate evil forces in Greek mythology. Hades just kind of sits there. He doesn't do anything.
There's a huge
No. Let me get this in. Shut up. Let me get this in. Otherwise, I'm gonna miss it. So there was no big bad in ancient culture. Shakespeare, you don't have a big bad guy. Hamlet wants to kill his his uncle the entire fucking play. And at the end of the play, he fucking kills his uncle. That's it. There's no big bad guy until you get to modern, what's the word I want? Serialized entertainment or novel, long form storytelling. There's no big bad guy until you get to the point where you get to extend your story. And I think that's one of the biggest problems that Firefly had, is it wasn't self-contained enough. It needed to expand outward, and it didn't get the time to. So It ended up, getting, kind of losing a lot of its plot threads there. And unlike some like the Sherlock books, which got to expand out and do its serialized storytelling, and got to build up a villain over a long period of time.
So you're saying you should have done...
Yeah,
I said... Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, let me just get this in. Yeah. The thing is, like I said before, you hold the whole build-up. Without build-up, you can't have a proper arch enemy. I think it really kind of comes down to two archetypes. You got... Sorry. Sorry.
Dude, get the phone away from the mic.
Sorry. Essentially, stop it, Mickey! Sorry.
Okay, Ozzy, go ahead.
Yeah, as Milan was saying, it was, there is build-up. If you ever go to a rap concert or a hip-hop concert, there's a hype guy on stage before you get the main act out on stage. And, he gets the crowd excited. Essentially, a good story arc with a very decent, very hateable villain is the exact same formula. You got people in the crowd, everyone's spectating, you're getting them hyped, you're getting them, set up for a prize fight, a rap battle, whatever's fun. And then you hit them with the opposing viewpoints after you've set them up. That's why I couldn't consider the Joker an arch-villain, because a villain, it's a scale of a thing. Good example, the Riddler. The Riddler's smart. And Lord knows you could turn him into an arch-villain.
Zero Year does.
I would disagree with that completely, but go on. I hate 0 Years.
0 Years, it's not great or something. 0 Years, the story arc that I think just finished up.
That's
in
a
the
comic book one, right?
Yeah, in the current Batman comics.
Right.
And so, ever since the start of 0 Year, Edward Nygma's been there, and once you finally get to, the last story arc of 0 Year, he's finally the villain that Batman's confronting. So, I'd say that makes him the arch-villain in that. In that story arc.
See, this is what I don't understand. How can you fucking do that to a fucking whole city and not get the fucking death penalty afterwards?
Gotham doesn't have the death penalty.
Well, not even the fucking death penalty. I mean, that's fucking that's citywide terrorism. The
but
fucking
again, Gotham
government
doesn't have the death penalty.
Well, not even Gotham. The fucking feds should come in like, you fucking killed hundreds of people. Fuck you, we're taking you to Washington, put a fucking needle in your arm. Fuck you, Mr.
Why
Riddler.
doesn't anyone send the Joker to Gitmo? That's what I wanted.
I mean, there's a story. There's stories about that. Like I just finished reading today, Batman Dead to Rights, and it's about why Joker can't get the death penalty from a federal case, and it's not just because he's crazy. It's because all of Joker and all of Batman's enemies, their threats are so Gotham-based, and there's always that jurisdiction war between police anyway, and Gotham doesn't have a death penalty. There's no way to get him extradited to do that.
Oh my god, they should
like,
have a
just
story.
Politically, if you put Gotham in the real world, it wouldn't work. You can't give them the death penalty.
You know what? The thing about the hype man type of thing. Grant Morrison is Darkseid's hype man.
No, Vlad, all right. Everyone's going to be quiet for a minute here, except for their fits of laughter as this happens. And I'm going to give Milan a nice little task. Milan, as Grant Morrison, please give us the stage hype as you introduce Darkseid. Go.
Oh, what's up, everyone? Hello, everyone. Are you ready? Are you fucking ready? Oh, here he comes. Fucking Darkseid. The anthropomorphic representation of all fucking evil in the DC universe. Fucking A. Come on, everyone. Clap your hands. Darkseid. 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 Yeah! Here he comes. Here's some acid. Take some fucking acid. Here's some acid for you, little girl, and you, little boy. To everyone. Take all the acid, girls and boys. Everyone, here he comes. Boom. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, here's Darkseid. Oh shit, motherfucker. Ah, that's what I got.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if anyone else did.
Fuck, it doesn't matter. They all live like a fucking stone's throw away from each other.
I quite enjoyed it. I was waiting for the universe to be involved, but it's okay.
Actually,
the destroyer entire fucking universe. He destroyed the entire fucking universe, and he's a fucking fictional character. How many fictional characters can claim to destroy the entire fucking fictional universe that they're in? Fuck off. Fuck you, Ra's al Ghul. Fuck you, Joker. Fuck you, Thanos. It's fucking Darkseid, you fucking cunts. Here's some acid.
Take some acid, little girl. I'm having a hard time deciding where our clip's going to be this week, because I'm having a lot of fun with a couple of these different things. I might go with Lex Luthor is not Tony Stark, because I just like that title. But that's a really close runner-up, Milan. Thank you.
No, I was going to mention something interesting, just as a definition, just to throw the cat amongst the pigeons. Do you guys? I don't know how many of you guys listen to Welcome to Night Vale. Just a few of you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to Night Vale. Technically speaking, you could argue that Night Vale as a original location is already run by the supervillains. The interesting thing is they then have it being taken over by the neighboring town, Desert Bluffs. And you could argue, it can be argued, that Desert Bluffs were actually worse. And it's a very interesting situation where you have existing villains fighting against an opposing force, not necessarily a singular one individual person, but it's a very interesting scenario when you've got a lot of hype towards them fighting off Desert Bluffs and Strex Corp.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to consider the Strex Corp as a bunch of arch villains in a radio play, it definitely scope.
Interesting. You made me think of this connected to that, and I mean, real quick side thought.
Yeah.
Cthulhu is a very good giant villain, or big bad, who eventually appears. He's very similar.
He's an archetypical arch villain. I love him.
Yeah, but back to the point I was about to make.
Yeah.
One of the most disappointing arch villains that you can have is generic alien race that wants to invade the planet.
Oh, I was hoping to avoid that. Yeah.
That
so
happens so often.
Cliche.
You got like just a Avengers saved it when we see Thanos and the fact that Loki was there using them. But I would have been very disappointed if it was just the Chitauri invading and that there was nothing else connected to that.
Funny thing enough,
that would have been horrible.
Funny enough, that's kind of how most Superman. There's a story called Superman Earth 1 or Earth Prime or whatever. Earth 1.
Yeah.
And it's just like, Earth 1. And it's just the first trade is just like, hey, Joker, black and white alien guy is going to blow shit up. Oh, that's so original, thanks. Yeah, but the thing
not
is...
true, though, dude.
Oh, well.
That's not correct at all.
I know. I'm just. I haven't read the book. I'm just being a dick. But the thing is,
if you want to,
Milan is a typical
Run
YouTube
down.
reviewer. He does not consume what he reviews.
not at all. Not at all. I'm actually
Ouch.
everyone. For just so you know, I'm a fake geek guy. I don't know anything about comics whatsoever, and I
He
just
just
do it for
does
the.
He just dresses up really sexily to take advantage of you.
Exactly. I'm just like I just sit there. Well, I just do it for the bitches, to be honest. For the fame and the subscribers and the bitches. That's why I do it. I'm sorry, you caught me.
That's why he's gonna give himself a pink mohawk and get a fake robot friend to do his videos with. He's gonna have someone else obviously write his videos and just regurgitate facts at people. And wear shirts that expose cleavage.
The difference between me and Comic Book Girl 19 is that I actually have fucking cleavage.
Oh, that's hard.
Anyway,
and I can make that shit work, son. I got a friend that's like she can turn a man into a fine looking lady just like that. She's a trans artist.
Anyone else interested at how quiet it just got there? I just want to acknowledge that before we move on. Okay, but so I said, yeah, let's get back to aliens. It's so crazy how often it's just such a generic alien threat, and I'm like, why are people not realizing that somehow aliens invading has become the most annoying cliche of all time? Like, do writers not realize that they're doing it? Because, like, so many movies seem to revolve around, aliens.
I think alien invasion is just...
Very disappointing.
I think alien invasion in comic book universe has just kind of become, like... It's a minor annoyance. It's like, the Kree are attacking. Oh, who gives a fucking shit? It's
like there's a fucking, like, you're watching TV, and then all of a sudden, like, the TV goes out, and the screen comes up with, like, a fucking, like, map. And then you see where all the ships are landing. It's like the fucking computerized voice. This is an alien invasion alert. And then every couple of weeks, so you fucking sigh and you go to the basement. And then every couple of fucking weeks, the like TV comes on and does it again. It's like, this is an alien invasion alert test. This is only a test. Aliens are not actually invading. If there really was an alien invasion, official messages would follow. Or all the TVs would be taken over simultaneously by the same alien race, and a message would be broadcast to the world.
Mm-hmm. How annoying would that be? You're just watching fucking Breaking Bad or like the popular TV show of the day, and it's just like, yeah, and then we are the Borg. Fucking bend over, son. I'm like,
God fucking damn
exactly. It's just like fucking.
Dude, you'd probably have people like putting chips in your television to make sure that the signal can't be interrupted with like a mass takeover signal.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god. Anyone here ever seen Frisky Dingo? No. Okay. So the very first episode, it's like it's just that typical thing. The supervillain comes on. The episode opens with the supervillain coming on screen and doing his whole blackmail the world thing for money, and then it's like it wraps, and he's like, okay, I think that's good. I like that take. Let's use that one. And they're like, okay, so how do you want to distribute this thing? And he goes, I want it to play on every single television in the world at the same time. And the guy's like, we can't do that. Well, what would it take to get it done? $30 million? Oh, you want to see my $30 million? I'll show you my fucking $30 million. And he shows him the doomsday machine that he built to destroy the world with.
Nice.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Are you tired of supervillains and alien conquerors taking over your TV show and stopping you from watching your TV show? Well, with 10 Love Lamb computer chips, that fucking signal will not be taken over by the alien threat. You can watch Breaking Bad in the comfort of your own home and just sit back and wait till the invasion blows over and our local superheroes take care of it. So don't worry about it. Try to ignore. I can't do the ad voice. I suck.
It's okay, Milan. I appreciate the effort.
I feel so bad.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. But yeah, that is kind of the that's like if you actually you mentioned the Kree. Okay, this Fantastic Four have gone up against the Kree a couple of times. Usually it's an excuse to show, how, you can outsmart your opponents. They'll never see that coming. Yeah, right. But, yeah, like, the Kree have this thing, and I was explaining this to one of my mates when we were getting out of Guardians of the Galaxy. The Kree have the supreme intelligence. And, I said to him, it's more like someone playing, the supreme intelligence sees the universe more like we'd see a 4X game, expand, exterminate, exploit, explore, and that's where I just had to say to people, get a what do you call it? If you wanted to do them as an arch villain, you could do the Kree as supreme intelligent as an arch villain, but it wouldn't be mustache twirling evil. It would be what do you call it? It'd wind up becoming more like a Galactus-style force of nature, something that's got like 18... Well, like, how big is the Kree Empire? It's got a whole shitload of star systems in it. Anyway,
yeah.
It's a lot. So, it's much bigger than you. It can roll you with conventional force without even really blinking, and you'd probably waste the entire planet's supply of metahumans, super mutants, whatever you've got, just in maintaining your own borders, let alone, beating an entire empire. Not to mention they've got the Inquisitors, and fuck that.
And that's why you don't have to worry about shit like that in DC, because we have the Green Lantern Corps. Space Police!
Space Police! Join the Corps!
Yeah.
There's a really cool poster. It's like a recruitment poster for, like, old-style World War II recruitment poster for the Green Lantern Corps, and you see, like, the lanterns flying like planes. Oh, it's so fucking awesome.
It is. But you know what I've noticed? There's always kind of a dynamic when supervillains are involved. There's always the Antichrist archetype that's just the main, that's just like the Joker, and then there's the Satan archetype that's the dark side. Or, that kind of like, you have the guy that comes up against the villain, and then in the second arc, you got the bigger guy, the guy behind the first guy, that's big and scary and smart and has a stone face and maybe a glove with stones on it or something that do shit.
Once again, talking about Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet.
No, not just that. I mean, it's just like, there's always, like in any, up-and-coming superhero or any really action-oriented story arc, you always have a first couple of episodes or issues or whatever, kind of throwing just the monster of the month or the villain of the month thing at you. And then at the end of the season, you have to have, like, through the gradual episodes or the issues, you gotta have a build-up to something greater. You gotta have the promise of something more cosmically oriented, more wider-reaching threat.
You need an end.
Exactly.
You need an arc for the season of a TV show, or the like top, Azarella's Wonder Woman book. There's people that she fights along the way, and they're like little stories contained in the larger narrative, but there's a through line. You need a through line villain or a through line story. So the through line in Wonder Woman is she's trying to protect this baby, and the firstborn has come to take the throne of Olympus, and he's the big bad for that book. He comes in halfway through the book, but he's a problem and he needs to be defeated several times. So yeah, that's me finishing Milan's point.
That's why I like Ian, because Ian makes me sound smarter than I actually am by finishing my points that I didn't make.
No, but you do need that through line villain, and that's something that can make a TV show or a comic book arc just really awful when your through line does not work at all and is significantly less interesting than the stories contained within it. I don't mind the Talia reveal at the end of Dark Knight Rises. I know a lot of people do. And the reason for it is because they don't find her motivation as interesting as what we were told Bane's motivation was. And so you had her revealed as the big bad, but she's ultimately, to a lot of people, less interesting. So that was a very disappointing part of the movie for a lot of people.
Yeah, and just a good through line, really, because how many times has a big bad kind of made or broken a season? The best example, since we've talked about Joss Whedon already, is Buffy, which is, people say one of the best things about that show and one of the worst things simultaneously are the format of every season has a big bad. So you've got things like seasons 1 and 2, where you get two really strong big bad characters, and they make the whole season fantastic. Then you get things like season 4 and 5, where there are individual episodes that are good, but because the payoff with the big bad is so terrible, it ultimately destroys the whole season. And it's the same with Dark Knight Rises, which is, since Talia is a character that most people, or at least me, I hated in that movie, it makes most of the movie fall apart.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed?
I liked her. It worked for me. I'll just say
I liked
that
it
much.
too.
But
the
I
thing
do
is,
see where people are coming
from. So I want to say this thought before I forget. It's almost weird in a way, because you kind of run the risk of kind of repeating that formula of like, look at this big bad, he's in control of everything. Oh, we defeated him. Then the next week, oh, you thought that guy was the big bad who controlled everything? Well, he was, kinda. But this guy really is the one who controls everything and is bad and evil. Oh, you defeated him? Okay, well, that guy, those two guys were bad, like really bad. But this guy is like worse than both of them combined. And it's just like...
One of the few anime... Oh, Yu Yu Hakusho.
And fucking Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yu Yu Hakusho... No, Dragon Ball Z had a villain for the season, that was it. And then there'd be a new villain the next season. Yeah. But Yu Yu Hakusho, everyone was working for someone else. And that's the thing that made me lose interest in that show, because every season... Like, not every season, but every time they defeated the big bad guy, he was just some other dude working for someone else, and it was so disappointing. And that's kind of, I guess, what Hydra is based on, is to, like, cut off one head and two more shall take its place. At what point do you get some really incompetent motherfuckers running this goddamn organization that's, like, supposed to be able to take over the world? And, like, wouldn't that cause a lot of really weird, like, authority issues? Like, who the hell do you report to when, like, alright, so Red Skull founds Hydra. Red Skull dies. Two more people come up to rule Hydra. Well, wait, shit. Now who's really in charge, though? I don't get it. Are they both, like, are they co-in charge? And then if one of them dies, do you have 4 people in charge? I'm so confused. It's like, who do I report to? Who is my manager?
You know what I think it is? I think Hydra is essentially just a bunch of fucking terrorist groups just taking the moniker because the moniker has some fucking history behind it. It's like with guys who kind of like, oh, a supervillain dies, I'm just going to take his costume and wear it to garner some sort of extra cred from the name that villain had previously built up for himself. You know, so it's just like, oh yeah, Hydra's ruling everything. Maybe you're just a bunch of cunts just calling yourself Hydra. He just has no organization whatsoever. You're just a bunch of dicks.
Believe it or not, technically speaking, somebody's already done that with the Royal Flush Gang. If you've watched Justice League Unlimited as badly as I did, and I pretty much absorbed it, you'll know that there's been about 6 incarnations of the Royal Flush Gang across about 200 years. We're talking, like, the first one you see is actually, well, chronologically speaking...
I'm pretty sure Jonah Hex dealt with the Royal Flush Gang at some point.
Yeah, and it goes up to Batman Beyond, which is a good, unspecified time in the future, but it's predicted to be about 2070 or 2075. Mm-hmm. So, that's entirely my point. Sometimes a reincarnation of a villain group is actually a fun way to revitalize a name that everyone has already gotten sick of. Not to put too fine a point on it, but sometimes you do get pretty sick of a villain being overused. I feel that way about some of them, but I'll get into that at another time. And that's entirely what I was saying about how well you write your villains, and how carefully you use them. This is what I was saying right at the very start about the Greek gods and, a villain or an arch-villain as a concept. It's the idea that, no, there's something even bigger and worse. People go, what is it, what isn't? You say, I don't know. It's the mystery that keeps people coming back. Half of the charm of your villain is lost the minute you explain them well enough. On the other hand, if you don't explain them at all, people don't get it, whatsoever. So you have to be a good writer to write arch-villains. Otherwise, you just have a sucky story.
I find many sucky stories come from the fact that people are not good writers.
That's usually the case.
So, that sounded really intelligent, but it's so fucking general that I'm like, yeah... That's kind of obvious, actually.
You get bad
no, but
writers.
That's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to say really obvious shit because you will probably be remembered forever as a philosopher or a scientist. Hey guys, when you throw something in the air, it falls down.
Thank
you, Isaac. Thank you very much. Now please go back to your room and make sure you put on your helmet.
Yep, that's Sid Part 2 calling the founder of fucking physics a retard.
No, not a retard, just how many philosophers just get away with fucking stating obvious things and getting called geniuses
Well, he
for
fucking
it?
didn't. He came up with fucking mathematics and stuff, I think.
No, but, seriously, what's Isaac Newton known for? Fucking gravity. Well, no shit falls to the ground, Isaac!
He's also known as an alchemist, but most people don't bring that up.
Oh, yeah, that motherfucker was into some Harry Potter business. That's holy shit.
Yeah, he, like I said...
That's what I want. I want to take an alchemy class in college.
Dude, I can give you an alchemy class right now. It doesn't work. It wasn't... No, but jokes aside, it actually wasn't supposed to. Everyone thinks it was about turning lead into gold. Well, no, it was metaphorical. It's a combination of, psychology and metallurgy and chemistry. Very poorly understood on all grounds, but they sort of saw where it was going. That was alchemy. That was what Isaac Newton was looking at in his spare time. The reason everyone respected the snot out of him and gave him a friggin' knighthood, can you believe it, is because he codified it into a theory and worked stuff out on a mathematical level. He was actually a pretty smart guy.
I know, I just like making fun of him for saying, oh guys, gravity's a thing. Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah.
Things fall down. Wait, shit, no one said that before? God damn it, now we gotta give this asshole credit. I know it's a misquote or whatever, where people go, well, Isaac Newton's credited for saying things that go up must come down. I'm just imagining fucking Isaac Newton in a room full of the most intelligent people in the world at the time going, things that go up must come down. Fucking get the hell out! Wait, shit, no one's written that down before?
Hang on a sec.
Why didn't anyone write that down? What the fuck? We gotta give this guy credit? We gotta knight this guy now?
Because back then, people thought gravity was caused by angels pulling shit to the ground. That's why. It's like, hey, why, what is that big gold thing in the sky? Oh, that's just God's Tinky Winker.
Yeah, okay, anyway, back to the big bad.
Yeah.
Isaac Newton needs to become a supervillain at some point.
Okay, no, that's actually, this is a good, no, you've actually opened up a really interesting avenue here without realizing it. Okay, take Sir Isaac Newton. could you make Sir Isaac Newton into an arch villain? And my answer would be, yes, you bloody well can. I mean, think about this. Okay, he starts off as a physicist. He discovers some technology. He starts manipulating other universities to do his research for him, because clearly he, figured out the stuff drops to the ground, so he's not that smart. But what you have him do is slowly become a Moriarty-style villain, where he's manipulating politics, he's channeling research and findings, and then killing the people who did it. And because you got to do that. I mean, it's part of the parcel. Anyway.
Well, I mean, why would you bother doing that when you can just, make a movie about Thomas Edison?
Yeah, you're such a fan of Nikola Tesla, so I'm like, yeah,
Edison. everyone.
Well, no, that was the point of my joke.
Yeah. Everyone who doesn't know, Thomas Edison was a lying, a cunt, essentially.
Steve seems to be the only one that appreciated my joke to its full extent. Thank you, Steve.
I appreciated your joke, Ian. I appreciated it.
Fuck you, Milan!
Oh, I did. This is what I...
Shut your whore mouth!
If we had fans...
Hello?
Anyway. No, I got the reference.
Okay, anyway, no, but I guess, I don't know, you can make fucking anyone, I mean, they made Uncle Sam into a superhero. You can take any fictional or mythological character and make him into whatever you want. I mean, Ares is a villain all the time, even though there are no fucking stories about Ares besides him, having sex with Aphrodite and getting strung up by Hephaestus for doing it.
That's just to fuck you up.
Hephaestus was a crafty motherfucker. See what I did there? Because he's the god of smiths. Anyway,
mythology joke.
Anyway, mythology pun. Thank you very much.
Okay, pun.
No, there are no fucking stories about Ares, yet we have the God of War, the first God of War game, and he's the fucking villain. There's nothing there, and they make a mythological character into a villain. And then you have, all these old movies where, I'm trying to think of some where they just take a normal dude and just make him into the biggest asshole in the world. As far as the historical person that was actually around.
Gonna say, the TV show Sanctuary did that on and off with Nikola Tesla.
Really? They made him a villain?
For the first season or two, yeah. You haven't seen it?
I mean, to be fair, Nikola Tesla kind of inspired the mad scientist, in my opinion.
Oh, no, they went way beyond mad scientist. He was a fucking vampire. Like I said, this is that was the brilliance of that show. They just said, you know what? None of the rest of this makes sense. Let's just run with it and see what fun we can have. And Amanda Tapping, who wrote and produced the whole thing, just didn't stop. She just said, you know what, if it's fun and we're having fun with it, run with it, and it worked. But that was actually a show that had a couple of good arch villains. They start off with a short version. They're sort of like an animal preserve for sentient and semi-sentient life forms that aren't catalogued in modern zoology, and they're running up against a syndicate of people who want to exploit these cryptids and under-identified animals for their superpowers or whatever. So they kind of went the Superman path, that their first villains were unscrupulous business people, kind of like the Tongs, only worse. And then they branched out into a couple of other things. They almost had a run-in with what I thought was, once again, an underexploited group, which is, I'm trying to remember the name, like the inhabitants of Hollow Earth.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah. Restarting their war with the vampires, like I said. Yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff.
Anyway, I feel like we're getting kind of far away from the topic.
Sorry.
And I might be getting close to wrapping up here. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to make sure we brought up or got into?
Not
take that as a no. Okay, does anyone have any final thoughts they want to get out? Or no, let's go round robin and do final thoughts. Who has a final thought on the big bad guys that they want to get out?
They are fun if they are written right, but they can get a little overly repetitive if you keep repeating the formula of, hey, see this bad guy that you thought was the main bad guy in the first season? Well, he's not the biggest bad guy ever. It's this guy. And then so on and so forth until fucking you're punching Cthulhu in the face. And one more thing, Ian. Cthulhu isn't a villain. He's more like Galactus. He's more like a gigantic, unspeakable tidal wave of madness. It's not like it's not a villainy. It's just like, yeah, winter is coming, bitch.
Yeah, it's a force of nature. I get that. But at the same time, it's a fucking villain. It's the antagonist of the story, if you will. So there you go. It's a sentient character that is causing problems for the protagonist. Therefore, they're the big bad guy. All right. There's fucking hour and how long into the video, and we finally get a very good definition, in my mind, of the big bad. Perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Let's start. Fuck it. We're starting the video over right there. Okay, so yeah, there's my final thought. The big bad guy is a sentient being that is causing problems for the main character throughout a long process of a story, and is often pulling the strings throughout. Oh, okay, one more thought. One of the greatest big bad guys is Grant Morrison in his Animal Man run.
True.
Okay, who's next?
I can take a swing at it. Yeah, for me, a really good arch villain, big bad, whatever you want to call him, is someone who is foreshadowed. They outsmart the hero minimum at least once. Has to be at least once. And they don't give the plot away. Until the last episode, if ever. So yeah, the more ambiguous, the better.
Okay. Steve, go ahead and get your final thought out.
I guess the only final thoughts I really have are that this seemed to be more of like a podcast on villainy and not so much big bad, because, I mean, there's the category of villain, there's arch enemy, and there's big bad, and those are three very, very different things, at least in my mind. So, I mean, there's a bunch of distinctions to be drawn there, but I think at the end of the day, a big bad is a character that is behind the majority of the machinations in a story. An archenemy is quite simply just a villain that has a more personal relationship with the character, whether or not they are behind any machinations at all. And a bad guy is just someone who is an antagonist to the protagonist. Okay.
That's a pretty good one. I think we spent more time on, like, the guy pulling the strings, but if you don't feel so, that's fine. You're entitled to be wrong.
I love being wrong. Isn't it great?
It's
delightful. Like, that's why I love having you on, Steve. That's why I love having you on the show. I've never heard anyone disagree with me as often as you do, and so I've never heard anyone be as wrong in such interesting ways as you.
Okay. I get it now. Okay. All right, then. I'm hurt, Ian. I'm genuinely hurt.
No, Milan, you're wrong, but just from an objective stance. Steve's wrong because he disagrees with me.
Okay, then. I get that. Thank you for making that distinction. I'm still his number one, Stevie.
Okay, you can have him.
Milan's my top bitch.
Yay!
Anyway, so let's see. Oh, Steve, what are we doing next week?
Okay, next week. We're going to do a film that Ian hasn't wanted to watch for a long time, mostly surrounding the hype with it, and I can totally sympathize. It's a movie that I went into the theater saying, I'm going to hate this, I want to hate it, I won't like it, and I came out loving it. We're going to do the most recent James Bond film, Skyfall.
Let the sky fall, and when it crumbles...
Man, I would so love to be on that podcast, because I friggin' hated that movie.
What?
You heard me.
Maybe.
That's messed up.
Bill's gonna have to come back for that one because it's gonna be so it might be a packed episode, but we'll see what happens.
You're in. You're on. It's on.
All right, everyone. So thank you for listening. Next week we'll be discussing Skyfall. That should be fun. If only to hear me point out problems with Skyfall. Just because I know I'm going to notice them. So anyway, everyone, thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm the philosopher.
I'm the madman.
I'm the politician.
I'm the glitch on the end of the Skype call.
And we are here, Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.